Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Game Podcast. This is episode number 9. I am your host, A1K, and we are back again for another terrific episode of the Good Game Podcast. We got a lot to get into on this episode, but before I get started, let me ask a favor real quick. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. At the Good Game Podcast, we're going to have episodes coming at you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And make sure you share the video with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on Spotify, follow us on Spotify at the Good Game Podcast. A lot of good episodes coming to you guys. Yes, that's right. 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a new episode. And you could be part of the Good Game Podcast. Don't miss any of this good game. It's a lot of good games we're going to be discussing. A lot of sports and entertainment related topics we're going to get into today. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Our first topic of the day. Recently, if Colin Kaepernick wants to join the Los Angeles Chargers, it will not be until next year at the earliest, reports an Associated Press. And it will only be as a member of Jim Harbaugh's coaching staff. According to Jim Harbaugh, I love Colin, but he's not going to be on the coaching staff, which is set for this year. And he's not going to be playing on the roster either, Harbaugh said after Thursday's practice. Jim Harbaugh, who coached Kaepernick in San Francisco from 2011 through 2014, told USA Today Sports earlier this week that he reached out to Kaepernick about joining his Chargers staff shortly after being named coach on January 24th. Harbaugh said on Thursday that it wasn't the first time he touched base with Kaepernick about coaching, and that he mentioned it a couple of times when he was the coach at Michigan. And I think this is an interesting idea that Jim Harbaugh wants to bring Colin Kaepernick back into the NFL as a coach, assuming most likely quarterback coach. I think this is an interesting opportunity for Colin Kaepernick to find his way back into the NFL after a long period of being basically ostracized and blackballed out of the industry as a whole. Now, whether or not he should accept this position, I'm not sure whether it's a good idea or not. I think he definitely has a lot to offer the quarterbacks in Los Angeles. I think he can do a lot to improve some of the things they do tactically with their training and some of the things that happen in practice. But on the flip side, there is a reason why Colin Kaepernick was ostracized from the NFL. And there's no telling how people may feel once he begins to make his way back. There's a good chance that a lot of people may feel a negative way about that, and it may cause a lot of disruption and tension between different organizations. But in my opinion, I think he should go for it. I think Colin Kaepernick is very talented. Although his playing days should be behind him, I don't think he should come back as a player at any time. I think if he was going to come back as a player, it should have happened a few years ago. Now it's too many other guys who can come in and be just as good, if not better, while also being a lot younger than Colin Kaepernick. So it's just, and quarterback is a tough position to play. Not saying that he couldn't be decent or respectable, but if he is a quarterback in the NFL and he's anything but average or above average, then it's going to be looked at as a failure, because there's always somebody who can come in and be just as good, if not better than you. So I think coaching is definitely an interesting aspect. I don't think it's very likely that it will happen, but Jim Harbaugh is somebody who can definitely pull some strings within an organization and make it happen if it's something that both parties truly want to see happen. Kaepernick, who turns 37 on November 3rd, has not played in any NFL games since January 1st, 2017, after he began kneeling on the sideline at games during the national anthem to protest social injustice and police brutality. Kaepernick, who played 6 seasons with San Francisco after being a second-round pick in 2011, still has hopes of playing again. He told Britain's Sky Sports News during the recent Paris Olympics that he is still training. Kaepernick said, "It's something I've trained my whole life for, so to be able to step back on the field, I think that would be a major improvement, a major accomplishment for sure. I think I could bring a lot to a team and help them win a championship." Now, do I believe that? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't believe that personally, that he can be a contributing member to a championship team. Just due to his age, I mean, we haven't seen this man play football since 2017, so it's not like riding a bike where you can just hop back on and get going like you never know. That's not what that is. So, sounds good. Sounds definitely like something that's very inspirational and something that they'll talk about on ESPN, but me personally, nah, I wouldn't say so. Kaepernick had a 29-16 record as a starter, including the playoffs, when Harbaugh was his coach. After Harbaugh left to go to Michigan, Kaepernick's record was 3-17. So obviously, Jim Harbaugh is one of those coaches that can make players appear to be a lot more talented than they may be in actual life. Just based on what we've seen with Colin Kaepernick and a few other players, I think that when you're dealing, and that's no knock on Kaepernick whatsoever, but when you're dealing with these high-level coaches such as Jim Harbaugh, they can always make players better than what their natural talent is just through scheming and putting them in positions to win. So it's no knock on any individual. It's actually a kudos to the talents of Coach Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh has 3 players he coached in San Francisco on his Chargers staff. Greg Roman, who was Kaepernick's offensive coordinator in San Francisco from 2011 through 2014, is also directing the Chargers offense. So definitely we'll be paying attention to that going forward. I think that if the LA Chargers do have a year where they're struggling offensively, especially in that quarterback position, at that point, it would make a lot of sense for them to try to bring someone like Colin Kaepernick onto the coaching staff and try to give them an advantage in that locker room with the quarterbacks. But other than that, if the LA Chargers have a decent or even a good season with a winning record, I don't think that this move will be made. And it'll be something that we just talk about whenever we get bored. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic. And we got some NBA news to talk about. So, the NBA unveiled its 2024-25 schedule Thursday, with the Knicks-Celtics rivalry opening the season on October 22nd. That will be followed by Olympic teammates LeBron James and Anthony Edwards squaring off on the marquee night when the Lakers host the Timberwolves. And you know I'm going to be waiting for that one. Definitely looking forward to those games. The Knicks finished second in the Eastern Conference last season, 14 games behind the first-place Celtics, but were plagued by injuries in the postseason and lost in the conference semifinals to the Pacers, who were then swept by the Celtics in the conference finals. In an attempt to gain ground on the reigning champion Celtics, the Knicks swung their first trade with the Nets since 1983, sending 5 first-round draft picks, a first-round pick swap, and a second-round pick to land Bridges in the biggest trade of the summer. The Knicks hope the addition of Bridges, who will be reunited with former Villanova teammate Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo in New York, will help them win the East. The Celtics finished with the NBA's best record, 64-18 last season, before going 16-3 in the postseason, rolling to the 18th championship in franchise history and their first since 2008. Although we want to congratulate the NBA champions, I am a Lakers fan, so we cannot do any Celtics celebration on this podcast. Sorry, guys, but we're not going to do it. Anthony Edwards and the Wolves are looking to take a step forward after reaching the Western Conference Finals last postseason. The Lakers opener could also be a first glimpse at rookie Bronny James, selected 55th overall out of USC. And in my personal opinion, I don't know if we're going to see Bronny that day, but a lot can happen between now and then, so we'll be looking forward to it either way. The second night of the season will be highlighted by another heavyweight matchup between 2 Eastern Conference contenders. The 76ers' new big three of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey make their long-awaited debut when they host Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, and the Bucks on October 23rd. A few hours later, on the opposite coast in Inglewood, California, Steve Ballmer will open his state-of-the-art Intuit Dome with the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden on the newest court in the league against the Suns and Olympians Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And if you guys haven't seen the Intuit Dome yet, go ahead and check it out. It's phenomenal. Everything is state-of-the-art. One of the best stadiums on the planet today. Definitely an homage to all of the high schools in California. They have a team jersey of every high school in California in the stadium. So definitely want to shout out Intuit Dome. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait to check it out. Eventually I got to go to a game and just walk around the establishment and just be in amazement of all this state-of-the-art technology. The Intuit Dome will hold its next most anticipated game 2 weeks later when George returns with the Sixers to Los Angeles to face his old team. George was supposed to open Intuit Dome with Leonard, but instead will be motivated to light up the new arena after the Clippers wouldn't match the 4-year, $212 million deal he signed with Philadelphia. George said he would have taken the same 3-year, $150 million deal that Leonard signed in an extension in January, but wanted a no-trade clause attached to it as well. The Clippers opted to let George walk after 5 seasons in which Leonard and George couldn't fulfill champion expectations, largely because of injuries. George isn't the only pure shooting all-star to change homes this offseason. Klay Thompson will make his highly anticipated Mavericks debut alongside Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving against super sophomore Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs on October 24th. On November 12th, Thompson will make what certainly will be an emotional return to Golden State to face Stephen Curry and Draymond Green as an opponent for the first time. After contract negotiations to stay in San Francisco didn't go the way he had hoped, Thompson will be inspired to show he has plenty of three-pointers left in him. Definitely looking forward to that game between the Dallas Mavericks and Golden State Warriors. It'll be interesting to see how Klay plays against the Warriors for the first time in his career, and I'll be interested to see how Steph plays for the first time in his career against his former Splash brother Klay Thompson. The top 2 teams to finish in the West last season will face off during the first weeks of the new season. The Thunder traveled to Denver on October 24th in a game that features Nuggets reigning MVP Nikola Jokic against MVP contender Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ja Morant will make his long-awaited return to the court when Grizzlies play at Utah on October 23rd. Morant played in a total of 9 games last season due to suspension and a labral tear suffered in his right shoulder in January. The Grizzlies finished 27-55, but they drafted Purdue's Zach Edey 9th overall. And with Morant, who was fully cleared to participate in basketball activities in July back, Memphis should be poised to contend in the West again. The NBA's Christmas Day lineup will be star-studded. It opens with the league's potential face of the future, Wembanyama, making his Christmas debut at Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks will host Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves in a rematch of the Western Conference Finals. The Sixers will then see where they stand against the champs in Boston. That will be followed by Curry and James meeting for the 4th time on Christmas. The 2 stars who helped the Team USA win gold in Paris will be reunited when the Lakers travel to San Francisco to face Golden State. The holiday slate will finish with Jokic Nuggets at Phoenix to face Booker, Durant, and Beal. The league's All-Star Weekend will be held February 14th through February 16th in San Francisco. The regular season will conclude April 13th. Definitely looking forward to the NBA season coming up. A lot of good games we have on the schedule, a lot of good matchups, a lot of people switching teams and switching sides, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys compete against each other for the first time. So moving on to our next topic, we have some news regarding the Oakland Athletics moving to Las Vegas. It is official. Las Vegas is rounding third in Oakland A's stadium approval. Steve Hill, president and CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, said he was optimistic 3 key documents needed to be construction on a new stadium for the Athletics will be approved by December 5th. We're rounding third and heading for home, Hill said after Thursday's Las Vegas Stadium Authority board meeting. Hill and the LVCVA were so helpful the approvals would come at the December meeting that 3 others were canceled. The board will next meet October 17th, and a meeting has been set aside for December 12th as a safety valve. The 3 documents that need to be approved for the planned $1.5 billion, 33,000-seat domed stadium of the Las Vegas Strip area are the lease, non-relocation, and development agreements. The lease agreement was presented Thursday without a vote. That agreement provides an initial 30-year lease that ultimately can be extended up to 99 years. The agreement for the NFL's Las Vegas Raiders is 30 years without language beyond that time frame. Allegiant Stadium, which is home to the Raiders, opened in 2020. The A's hope to open their ballpark in time for the 2028 season. I think mostly it wasn't contemplated in 2016 when we passed a law, Hill said. You don't necessarily need that information in the law. It gives us optionality. We talked about it during the process that we're going to get to 15 or 20 years and the parties involved will probably reopen and renegotiate the lease. This is the A's final season in Oakland. They agreed to play the following 3 seasons with an option for a 4th in a AAA stadium in West Sacramento, California. The A's will share that facility with the River Cats, the San Francisco Giants AAA club. The A's have said they expected to spend $350 million in public money rather than the full $380 million allocated by the Nevada legislature. And plus, it's going to help stimulate local economies due to people in adjacent businesses like people who sell food, concessions, stores, merchandise, people who drive for Uber, ride shares, things like that. All these people are going to make more money due to the fact that there's more attractions coming to the city of Vegas. So I think for that reason, the Oakland Athletics will be a good move to come to Las Vegas. And as a Las Vegas resident myself, I'm personally looking forward to Major League Baseball in Vegas and can't wait for them to build a stadium so I can go check it out and catch a couple baseball games. So with that being said, this is the conclusion of the Good Game Podcast, episode 9, and we're going to wrap it up here today. Make sure if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our next episodes. Hit that notification bell so you get notified anytime we release a new episode on this channel. And make sure you have a safe and wonderful day. God bless and peace.